stop watching this video right here. If you actually get angry very easily when it comes to talking about church or religion in a way that you do not accept, I think you should stop watching this video right here. The moment I discovered that Steve Bartlett of Diary of a CEO is half Nigerian, something clicked
My
inside
mother's
me.
Nigerian and my father is English.
I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like a connection. It felt like a recognition. And this is actually proof that we Nigerians carry greatness in our DNA. Think about it. We've given the world literal giants like Wole Soyinka. We've produced tech innovators building unicorn companies in Silicon Valley. Nigerian doctors are saving lives in hospitals across America and Europe. Our entrepreneurs are creating billion-dollar businesses in Lagos and all over the world and all over the country. We are not only surviving Nigeria, we've been thriving for so long on every continent, in every industry. But honestly, here's what breaks my heart. Most Nigerians will never discover what they are truly capable of. They will live and die without ever knowing the giant that was sleeping inside them. Why? Because from birth, they've been programmed, systematically conditioned to follow a path they don't understand by authorities they can't question. Try to question the system and watch what happens. You are immediately labeled rebellious, disrespectful, rude. You become the cautionary tale, bad example that young people should avoid becoming. The system doesn't just silence you, they turn you into a weapon against others who might even dare to think differently. And those authorities, they're actually everywhere, forming an invisible web of control. Your parents who love you but unknowingly pass down the same limiting belief they inherited. Educational institutions that train you to memorize, not think, to follow, not lead, to fit in and not stand out. Religious institutions that sometimes use faith as a tool to keep you passive and accepting of mediocrity. And the government, the master puppeteer, pulling strings from the shadows, maintaining a system where confused, distracted citizens are easier to control than empowered, conscious ones. In this episode, I'm actually going to expose what I've actually gotten to understand about how these institutions have manipulated and gaslighted us into playing by rules designed to keep us average. Because I believe in one of my favorite quotes, knowledge makes man unfit to be a slave. And once you learn to read, you're forever free. Knowledge doesn't just make you unfit to be a slave, it makes you dangerous to any system that profits from your ignorance. Here's the question that should keep you awake at night. Is the system intentionally keeping us stuck, confused, and distracted? The answer might shock you. Find out in this episode of the University Life Podcast, where we don't just talk about breaking free from the matrix. Welcome to University Life Podcast. My name is Emerald Olaoye, and this is the season 2 of University Life Podcast. I'm so excited to be here, and you know, one of the things that got me so excited about ending season 1 in July and starting season 2 in August is that I actually just I'm actually going to be doing my birthday in August, so that is like in a week's time. When I am presently recording this video, that's going to be like in a week's time. But by the time you're watching, I guess I would have already done my birthday by then. So I'm so excited because University Life Podcast started as a result of my depression, and because I didn't get to school early when most of my friends were gaining admission. So I didn't gain admission around that time, and it kind of prompted me to want to know what is happening in school. So I had this idea of starting a podcast, and that is where it all started. So in my season 1, I talked about a lot of random topics. It was like I was trying to figure out what I actually needed to talk about. Now I think in this season 2, I'm going to actually be talking about a lot of structured content. I'm actually going to be having a lot of structured content because one, I've grown to understand that this is not what I want to do, and if I want to do it, I must do it in a structured way so that it doesn't stress me, it doesn't stress my listeners too. If you are used to my content, you would actually know that before I didn't actually hit the nail on the head for certain topics, and that is going to be a lot different with this episode, or that is going to be a lot different with this series, with this season 2, because first, I'm actually going to be saying some things and you might not like them, you might not accept them, but the truth is that there are a lot of things you don't know about the system because you are so into the system. There are some things you cannot see. I'm a Christian, and most of the things I say, people seem to give me this kind of look like, dude. But so I am supposed to talk slowly based on the speech classes I've been taking and communication classes I've also been taking. So talk slowly, it actually gives you more authority. Woo! In this particular episode of this new season, I'm actually going to be talking about, I call them the triad of society. You might have been wondering, if you are somebody that is actually used to history, if you are somebody that has actually studied history or love to learn history, you would actually know that there was a time that the governing body of the world or of the society back then was actually the church, religion in quotes. And when I saw this movie Game of Thrones, so yeah, according to as I was saying, in one of the episodes there was a time when Queen Cassie told the religion head back then that they should give the religion head the power to actually control the people, because religion is one of the pillars of control of society. And funny thing is that if you are very familiar with history, you would understand that there was a time in history when the world was actually governed by the church or religion in quotes. In my own study of the society, I have actually gotten to understand that there are actually three big pillars of the society, the three pillars that control the narrative, the three pillars that control the perception, the three pillars that control how you see the world, the three pillars that control what you think, the way you think, how you interact with people, what you do, how you even feel sometimes, how you talk, the way you imagine, the way you think. So, and these pillars are the government, the school, and the church or religion. And the three of them, which I call the triads, have actually shaped, conditioned, and influenced the way you view the world. And I've actually gotten to understand, though this is not my original idea, I got this from somebody, and that person was like, the way by which Nigerians think, or Nigerians have been so conditioned, the lens by which they perceive the world has made them so blind to the abundance of opportunities that actually exist in Nigeria. And you would think that, wait, isn't this system supposed to support us? Isn't this system supposed to benefit and grow from actually assisting the citizens? Or have you not asked that, why is the government making us suffer unnecessarily? Why is the government doing this? Why is the government doing that? We are the citizens of this country. We are supposed to enjoy certain benefits of being the citizen of this country. But what do we get? What do you get? What do you get? I can say that the way we've actually been brought up, the way we've perceived the system, the way the system has influenced us has actually affected the way we think, the way we see life. And in the coming episode, actually this is an introductory episode, and in the coming episode I'm going to be taking each of these triads one after the other, explaining how they have actually influenced Nigerians and how they've influenced you to see what you see and to believe what you believe. Because Alex Amosi will always say, if you don't know why you believe, and it is not your belief. One of the triad is the school. I love to actually talk about the school. the school is actually number one, and university life podcast actually talks about school, university life, but university life, we can also call it university of life because we are all students of life. But firstly, let's talk about the school. One of the things the school does to shape the way you see life, to shape the way you perceive anything outside the system, or to perceive anything about life, is that school tells you to avoid failure entirely. Like, I can remember when I was in secondary school, if we did test and you scored 15 over 20, God, there's this man, Mr. No, don't let me call his name. There's this particular teacher back then. He has a particular day he calls Judgment Day. This man is going to beat the hell out of every single student. And as one of the smartest students in the class back then, being like scoring 18 over 20, 15 over 20, though sometimes 2020 you escape because of the fear. But let's say something happened and now you're scoring 15 over 20. This man is going to beat the hell out of you. And you're already scared. Despite that you're a very smart student, you are scared. Now imagine what people that are not so smart actually go through. Like, I know they are trying to inculcate the reading habit into everybody, but we are not born equally when it comes to mental capacity, mental capability, and I don't even want to talk about that for now. What I'm talking about is that school tells you to avoid failure entirely, and it doesn't even teach you risk management. You have to avoid failure entirely, but if you want to succeed in this life, you need to understand risk. You need to understand risk management. You need to understand the type of risk you should take. You need to understand the type of risk you should avoid. You need to understand the type of risk you should actually risk. But the school doesn't talk about that. The school only talks about, if you don't have this is what is going to happen to you. If you score a C, you don't get a first class. If you have this, it is just a do or die kind of system. So that is like a brief explanation into what the school actually does and how school has made you perceive life. Because tell me, you have spent how many years in school? Let's say primary 1 to primary 5, that is 5 years. SS1 to SS3, that is 6 years. You are going to spend 4 years or 5 years in the university, plus minus ASUSTRA. So that is 15 years. You are going to spend 15 years in the school ecosystem, and they have never taught you how to think outside. They never taught you how to learn from failure. The only thing they've been hammering into your head is how to avoid failure entirely. So it is no news, it is nothing new to see a graduate that is so scared of even sending out applications because they fear rejection, they fear judgment, they fear failure, and they just choose the easiest path that life has to offer them because it feels safe to them. Let me not go into this so deeply because that is what the next episode is going to be about. So the next year is the church. So, okay, God, people are going to be so, like I've already told you, if you cannot stand the way I talk about these things, you are free to stop watching this video. So the next one now is the church. The church actually tells you that you don't need to be rich because once you are rich, it's going to be very difficult for you to enter heaven. And you see, if you actually see some pastors, I used to see some pastors that are very, very wealthy, and I used to see some pastors that are good. I don't need to actually paint the picture of pastors that actually glorify sufferings for you, because I'm definitely sure you've seen them, the way they glorify suffering, because they believe that once you are rich, you cannot go to heaven. I know a lot of you like to argue when it comes to church topics, but do you know that there's actually something called the slave Bible that was brought to Africa during colonization? And don't you think that those people who actually brought in the slave Bible actually left some things here? Because you cannot colonize a country, give them freedom, and let them just go like that. You cannot leave them alone to be entirely free. So you need to, one of my mentors used to say that slavery is no more legal. Slavery is now a bad thing. So because of that, they restructured the word of slavery into something else. This is actually a complex topic, but I'm also not going to go deep into it. Like, you need to watch the next episode, guys. Another thing the church does is, don't be proud, don't show yourself too much, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And you see, when some people tell you you look beautiful, you'll be like, me, how can I be beautiful? Are you kidding me? This old clothes. No. Or when you do a very good job and somebody tells you, wow, this is so nice. I think this is so good. This is, you did a very good job. And you be like, no, no, thank you. Yeah. I just tried. It's just one of those things. People give you compliments, you just talk yourself down because you've been taught to believe that taking such compliments makes you proud, and once you are proud, God doesn't want to deal with you. Like, do you even get it? How do you want to climb the ladder of life if you don't have self-pride? How do you want to ascend? How do you want to stand on stages? How do you want to do something without even believing in yourself because the system taught you that, oh no, you need to be very humble. You need to be humble. And a lot of people just keep confusing humility and pride together, that they cannot even differentiate which is which and which is not. So like I said, you need to watch the next episode because I'm actually going to be talking about these things in full details. So, and the next one is government. Have you ever tried to, before we go into government, have you ever tried to actually wonder what is going to happen to these pastors? Like, have you wondered what these wealthy pastors know, poor pastors do not know? Have you ever wondered? Have you? And do you know that when somebody breaks out of the system and they start doing well, that should tell you that there's something they know that you do not know, but you are here stuck in the system listening to whatever it is they are feeding you. And lastly, the government. The government seem to be the most sought to. As a young Nigerian, you never have any issues with the government until you get into the workforce. So at this particular age, you blame the government. You actually don't know how the government works. You actually don't know how the government is influencing your decisions, how the government is actually influencing your life until. But I think that is one of the reasons why we are here, so that we can actually talk about these things. The government actually keeps you chasing your next meal, because the government keeps you chasing your next meal, and all you can think about is, what am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? And that is one of the biggest reasons why Africans don't think in decades. Africans don't think in years. That is why most of our actions, we feel like, well, the consequence is just to be. That is why a lot of people behave without thinking about the consequences of what they've just done, because we've not been taught to actually think in years. The only thing you are focused on right now is wetin I go chop, wetin I go chop, wetin I go chop. And that is not allowed. Okay, as a student right now, you don't have foodstuffs. How do you want to plan? Okay, you are a student in 300 level, you don't have foodstuffs, and you are literally hungry, you don't have any money with you. How are you going to think of, what do I do when I get out of school? When I get to 400 level, how am I going to start structuring my life? Once I'm about to graduate, what am I going to do? What are the plans I'm going to start putting in place for myself, that when I get out, it's going to be a soft landing for me? But we cannot think that way, because person wey dey bed, wey dey struggle, wey dey, oh God. Have you actually seen how these bodies have kept us stuck? And honestly, you would think that these institutions are supposed to support us. They tell us they are working for our betterment, but are we actually benefiting anything from them? Are we actually benefiting anything from them? Even there are opportunities that are out there, and you would never hear them mention it. It is always an inner circle opportunity, and it has been structured in such a way that you've already self-disqualified yourself, so that the people who know about it are always going to be the one knowing about it. I don't know if that makes sense. When there are opportunities, let's say an opportunity for scholarship, and you need this particular grade to actually be qualified for that opportunity, but because you have to hustle and do this and do that as a student, your grades have actually dropped. You've already self-disqualified yourself. And you know that if all things being equal, if all stars aligned, and if everything was actually good for you, you would have actually had that particular grade pretty easily. But because of all this nonsense, you couldn't, and now it is affecting you. So this system, these triads, they tell us they are working for our benefit, they tell us they are supporting us, they are doing this for us, and eventually who suffers? Who suffers from it? If you've actually watched Blacklist, you would understand that government intentionally creates problems to keep people distracted, so that they are going to always be in control. A distracted population, a distracted society is a society that can easily be controlled by external influence, and they are doing that successfully pretty easily. So when they tell you that they are working for our betterment, they are working for our benefits, they are working for us, is that the truth? Is that true? There's actually a difference between is that true and is that the truth, but also I'm not going to go into that. So what do you think? What do you personally think? Do you think we've been lied to by the school, who has intentionally kept us scared of actually taking innovative risks? Risks that you know that if you take this risk, you are going to do amazing things, but because you are so scared, you never take that step. Because the school punishes failure, you are scared of taking the chance, you are scared of failing, you are scared of even trying it, less of even failing. Or is it the church that has glorified remaining poor, that has glorified poverty, that has glorified suffering, that have glorified self, I don't know the word to use for that, that a system that has glorified being too humble, that you even miss out on opportunities because you cannot speak out for yourself. And when somebody is doing well, you feel like, well, that is when you fail in life because of your inadequacy, or because you've not put in the work that you're supposed to put in. When you fail, you come out and say that God knows best.
God knows best, but did you give your best? Did you?
It is God's will. Is that what you think, or do you think that is what you've been programmed to actually think? Or is it the government who stays in the shadow and subtly controls the narrative of every single thing? That is it all a lie? Hang out in the next episode. My name is Emerald Alaye once again, and thank you for joining. This is the first episode of season 2, and God, I'm really so pumped for this episode. I'm so pumped. I'm so excited to do this. So thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because this is actually a new thing I'm doing here on YouTube, and I'm going to need all the support I can get from you. I'm going to need I'm going to need some support from you. And if you actually think that I am wrong in what I have said, leave a comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. And if you even think I'm right and you believe you actually have the same opinion as I do, drop it in the comments. I'll respond to every single comment. So until the next time, I'll see you. Bye bye.